Now that WrestleMania 36 is over, wrestling's next chapter is looking about as full as the average fan attendance figures for the last few Raw, SmackDowns and Dynamites. WWE are set to shoot a load of content in advance over the weekend starting from tonight, while AEW is reportedly not taping anything new until state stay-at-home orders have been lifted. Both promotions are still advertising their big pay-per-views for next month, but WrestleVotes is reporting WWE's Money in the Bank won't happen as planned, while the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, where AEW's Double or Nothing 2, aka Quadruple or Nothing, quick maths, is scheduled to take place on the 23rd of May, has cancelled all events up until the end of that month. We, as wrestling fans, need something to be excited about. We need a light at the end of the tunnel. We need a big-time dream match to tease us through. We need Will Ospreay versus CM Punk. CM Punk returned to a sort of WWE screen in October last year when he debuted in front of no fans. What a trailblazer on WWE Backstage. Despite working for Fox, not for WWE, his sudden return to the wrestling business fueled speculation about a full in-ring return, especially seeing how WWE's proxy deals with previously blacklisted wrestlers in the past, like Ultimate Warrior, Goldberg and Sting for WWE's 2K video game series, foreshadowed them actually coming back, or debuting in Sting's case, for the promotion. And when Triple H was asked about a Punk in-ring return, he said his and Vince's attitudes were always the same. Never say never. And Punk revealed he'd consider a return for a big load of money. The Wrestling Observer newsletter revealed last month, though, that McMahon has actually said never, calling Punk the one person he just can't do business with. I just can't right now. Apparently, Punk's agent had even reached out to WWE about working together, but nothing ever came of it, and nobody high up in the company, not even Punk's previously very close personal friend Paul Heyman, who's in charge of Raw's creative direction right now, pitched his return. It's hard to figure out what Punk actually wants. On one side, he's still on WWE Backstage, with his next appearance on Tuesday, and he main evented AEW's partner convention Starcast last August with a Q&A. But then Cody Rhodes claimed Punk turned down a very serious offer from AEW to return to the ring for them, which Punk has denied, saying it was never really a proper offer, and he also technically returned to the Indies last year, appearing under a mask at MKE, a promotion owned by Punk's ROH buddy Silas Young. Maybe we've been looking in the wrong place for a Punk return though. Not in WWE, not in AEW, but with New Japan Pro Wrestling. In an interview with the Swings and Misses radio show, Punk listed 4 people he would be open to returning to the ring to wrestle: Daniel Bryan, John Cena, Rey Mysterio, and WrestleTalk's best friend Will Ospreay. 3 of those 4 people are currently contracted to WWE, all of whom Punk has worked with before, and as we know, Vince reportedly will never let Punk return. So what about Ospreay? This isn't actually the first time Punk has publicly praised Will. When John Morrison tweeted about getting to stand opposite the most talented people in the business when announcing his return to WWE, Punk simply replied, "Dude, Will Ospreay is in New Japan." After Punk said he'd return to the ring to wrestle Ospreay, Will himself replied, challenging Punk to a match at Wrestle Kingdom 15 next January. And now WrestleTalk.com's Louis Danger has interviewed Will to talk about a whole bunch of things, including how he believes that dream match between him and Punk can happen.
I brought Amazing Red out of retirement.
Yeah.
Can I bring Punk back? Like, I just sit there and I just think, you know what? I think I'm going to try for it. So I'm just going to, I'm going to put it out there to the world.
This wouldn't be the first time that someone unexpected has shown up in New Japan. Chris Jericho changed the wrestling landscape when he made a shock appearance there in November 2017 to begin a feud with Kenny Omega. And look where he is now. CM Punk to AEW confirmed. But Ospreay thinks a Punk New Japan debut could be even bigger than Jericho's.
Jericho was huge when he came to face Kenny in the Tokyo Dome. The only way that could probably get bigger if we got Punk
Yeah.
And I think it can happen. I don't want to say it's in the pipeline. I don't want to say like we've had words. I don't want to say there's been phone calls between the offices, because there hasn't been. But there is a want from him to listen, at least. And that is the only bit of hope that I need to try and make this happen. And I will bend over effing backwards and fold myself in half to try and bring back CM Punk. He's the only person that can make it happen. I'm calling his bluff here. I'm calling his bluff to say, hey, just listen to my idea. Just listen to what we've got in mind. It's 3 days. You've got well advanced warning. January 4th. It can happen. Just pick up the phone. It can happen. And you know what? It's not a part of me just being like, I want this to happen. It's the part of this being like, I want people to want something outside of the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
And it is just like the idea we was told for years, if Punk is ever going to come back, it's going to be WWE. What if it wasn't?
Yeah.
It can happen.
Would you like to see Will Ospreay versus CM Punk at the Tokyo Dome for Wrestle Kingdom 15? And how would you book it? Let me know in the comments, because I'll be replying to people from out of quarantine. Head over to WrestleTalk.com to watch Louis Danger's full interview with Ospreay, which also includes how Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks took him to one side before they left New Japan and said, "You've got to take the reins now, it's all on you." His thoughts on how a New Japan and AEW relationship could work, and the rumours Paul Heyman forced Seth Rollins to apologise to him. Click the link in the video description below to watch that full interview. Going by Punk's recent comments to the No Sports podcast though, he won't be returning to the ring while we're in the no fans era of wrestling, as he said he finds the matches unwatchable without an audience. I would be able to watch hockey or UFC or Bellator, any kind of mixed martial arts fight when there's no people in the crowd, because it's a sport. With pro wrestling, I find it completely impossible to watch with no crowd. The audience is the 100%, and this is more evident than ever now, driving force behind what wrestlers do in the ring. When I wrestled, that was my boss. I agree. You wouldn't want to undermine one of the biggest wrestling returns in history by doing it in front of an empty crowd. But while WWE might not be planning a Punk return anytime soon, they were very close to pulling off another big, controversial comeback for WrestleMania 36. Thanks for your support on Patreon, The Rocket, Dan Van Sky. According to the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, WWE was trying to get Hulk Hogan to appear at WrestleMania 36 in a non-wrestling role. The report doesn't say what that non-wrestling role would have been, but you'd assume it'd be as the too big for just one night host that eventually went to the Gronk. Whatever a Gronk is, I'm actually now more confused after I've seen him present the show. This could have tied into Hulk's second Hall of Fame induction over WrestleMania weekend, where he was going in as part of the NWO faction. It wouldn't be the first time Hogan had hosted a WrestleMania, being the official presenter for WrestleMania 30 at the Silverdome, brother. But alas, the two sides couldn't come to financial terms, which is a fancy way of saying money. These talks appear to have started months ago, before the Steve Corino pandemic drastically altered WWE's WrestleMania plans. WWE have had an awkward relationship with Hogan over the last few years, seemingly wanting to bring him back as much as possible, but being very aware that public sentiment and the feelings of many of their own roster have soured on him greatly following his infamous Gawker lawsuit, when footage was leaked of the Hulkster making racist comments over a decade ago. That's caused wrestlers like Titus O'Neil and Big E to be outspoken against his return, commenting that they can accept him but will never be able to forgive. And Hogan didn't help himself when his big advice to the WWE locker room on being quietly welcomed back to the promotion in July 2018 was reportedly to always check if you're being recorded. WWE has instead taken a drip feed approach to reintroducing full Hogan to the world again, having him as the host of 2018's Crown Jewel and managing Team Hogan at the 2019 edition. Because when in Saudi Arabia, you can be as controversial as you like, and making a surprise appearance at last year's WrestleMania. But there's another big WWE return that many wrestlers are actually lobbying for backstage. The return of the pile driver. WWE officially banned their wrestlers from using the pile driver back in 2000 unless they are given special permission to use the move, like Kane and The Undertaker's Tombstone variants. The decision was made in part after Owen Hart broke Stone Cold Steve Austin's neck when botching a pile driver in 1997, an injury which eventually forced Austin to retire 5 years later. There have been the occasional WWE uses of the move, like when CM Punk hit John Cena with one in their excellent Raw TV match from 2013, for which they were reportedly fined, but other than a few instances, the pile driver remains banned. Unless you give it a new name. Fightful is reporting that Vince McMahon suddenly fell in love with the Canadian Destroyer when Rey Mysterio and Andrade used it in their run of matches last year, which is technically a variant of the pile driver, and some WWE stars believe certain move variations make it past McMahon because they don't have pile driver in the name and it's an element of perception. This doesn't apply, however, to Kevin Owens' finishing move from Ring of Honor, the package pile driver. KO has apparently been pitching to use it in WWE as his finisher quite often, but the idea reportedly never makes it to McMahon. The Usos are seemingly allowed to use the Canadian Destroyer too, but Fightful notes Matt Riddle and Damian Priest were told not to do that move without clearance after busting it out at an NXT live event. Where did Bray Wyatt's Fiend come from? Find out the fascinating backstory and lore behind the character in Laurie Blake's latest episode of Wrestling Explained by clicking the video on the right. And Vince McMahon wanted a shoot fight tournament in NXT. Click the video beneath that to find out about the crazy idea. And remember to go to WrestleTalk.com for that full Will Ospreay interview. I've been Ollie Davis, and that was wrestling.